Hello, welcome to Home Tech Adventure. I hope you're here to learn how to make a bootable USB Windows 10 on Mac 2020. It's a little confusing. What we're doing is we're taking a USB flash drive like this. It needs to be at least 8 gigabytes. Make sure you have at least an 8 gigabyte one. You really want a USB 3 one too. USB 2 is so slow it would take forever. Please use a USB 3 flash drive and put it in a USB 3 slot on your Mac. Most Macs, honestly, the Mac went USB 3 a long time ago, so you should have USB 3 ports available. Now, I've seen a lot of videos on doing this on the internet, a lot of websites too that post techniques for doing this. None of them are good in my opinion. None of them will work every single time. They might work in some cases and not in other cases, with some PCs and not other PCs, and they don't talk anything about BIOS or UEFI settings to make it successful. I'm going to do all of that. Now, we did a similar one to boot with UEFI using the Rufus method on the Windows PC, and that method works. You can also use the Windows Media Creation tool on the PC. And I've seen even some very reputable sources say, don't even try it on the Mac. It's not possible anymore. Just go to the Windows machine and either use the Windows Media Creation tool or Rufus. But we can do it actually on the Mac, and we can do it successfully. And I've tried to make it easy for you to do. It's a lot of steps, but if you follow along carefully, you should be successful doing this. I'm going to do things that I've never seen done on any other tutorial on this topic. Basically, we're going to use the Rufus bootloader, the bootloader that comes with Rufus, called UEFI NTFS bootloader. Now, we're not going to use NTFS because the Mac can't do that natively. I don't want you to be buying software or anything. We're going to do this for free. But it does also, the bootloader also works with exFAT, and we're going to use exFAT partition. You see, the UEFI system that's built into your computer, and that's the more modern system than the old BIOS. The old legacy boot or legacy BIOS, sometimes it's called, or Compatibility Support Module. Booting from that method does work, even on modern computers, but you really shouldn't be using it because the UEFI is much better, much faster. And also, we're going to boot only for 64-bit computers. Again, better, faster, newer. If you have some special needs, you got some special software that's old, you have an older operating system that you need to run, you might need to run 32-bit, you might need to run the old legacy boot, but honestly, for any modern computer with modern equipment and modern software, just run UEFI and 64-bit, and that's what we're going to target today, because most of you, I think, have newer computers. Anything within the last 10 years at least is going to be capable of that. So we're going to target the UEFI and 64-bit. The Rufus bootloader I was talking about is a general public license, so there's no problem using it. You're not pirating anything. It's available publicly and we can use it. The nice thing about the Mac is when you format a drive, it creates a FAT32 partition called the EFI partition. And that's important because most UEFIs that are built into your computer can only boot from a FAT32 partition. They can't boot from NTFS. They can't boot from exFAT, and that's why some of these other ones have failed. Now, it is possible to create a UEFI that does boot from that, but the manufacturers just haven't done that. They pretty much only boot from FAT32 partitions, or FAT12 if you want to go even farther backwards in time. But all modern computers should boot from the FAT32 partition. To get it to boot from the exFAT, we need a small partition that's FAT32 that has a driver that allows it to find files on the other file formats like NTFS or UEFI, and that's what our bootloader does. I want you to be successful on this. At Home Tech Adventure, we give you some of the best tips and techniques for using and maintaining computers in your home so that you can be successful on your own home tech adventure. Stay tuned to the end for all the tips and techniques. I'm now on the Mac operating system, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download the Windows 10 ISO. You can do that on the Mac, no problem. I'm going to use Google Chrome here. It tends to be a little faster on the download sometimes. And what we're going to do, and I'm going to use this sheet I have up, a text edit document, but I copied this and I put it in the description on the video. So if you go to the description of the video, you can do exactly as I do, just copy and paste. Just copy this, Command C is what I'm using, and then I'm going to go up here into my browser and I'm going to go Command V to paste and just hit enter, and it should get us to the Microsoft site. Now, because I'm based in the United States, it went to the US site, the Microsoft's US site. Now, if you went there and you want a different site, it'll go to the site for your region most likely. But if it got it wrong, or perhaps you're creating a computer operating system for a different language or a different region, that's easy to do. You just hit this English down here. In my case, it's something else on your case. You can pick whatever region you want so that the website fits with what you need for your particular install. I'm going to click back here and we'll go back and we're going to select Windows 10, and that will take us to the download page. Now, the download page here, we can only download the ISO. If you go here on a Windows PC, you can only download the Windows Media Creation tool. And if you're using a PC, watch my other video up here, and I'm going to be referring to it a whole bunch. The one on the Rufus method for the PC. Use that one if you're using a PC. But if you're using a Mac, let's select the edition here, Windows 10, and click Confirm. It'll take a little bit of time to do that. And then choose your language. Since I'm based in the United States and I'm only doing English, I'm just going to choose English and click Confirm. And it gives me a download option. I'm going to download the 64-bit. So click the download there. And this should take a while. I have a fast internet connection, very fast internet connection. So it's actually going very fast. It says it's got 2 minutes left. So that's good. But while it's downloading, click this verify the download link. And what you do is you find the particular checksum for your language. Now, they give instructions here for you doing it on the Windows PC, checking the verification or verifying that you have the right document. But we don't have a Windows PC. We got a Mac today. So we're going to do this on the Mac. We're going to copy this English 64-bit. Because that's the one I downloaded, and I'm going to choose copy, Command C again. You can, if you want, right click and choose copy. That's okay too. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to this text edit and we're going to open a new text edit document. So let's go File, New Document, and we are going to paste. Go Command V to paste, or use the right click. And this is not in a format that's easy to read. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the format of this. And we're going to go Format, Make Plain Text. And we click OK. And that makes it plain text, a lot easier to read. And then we want to make it a lot bigger too. So let's do a Select All and Format Font. We're going to show the fonts thing there. And we're going to bump it up so you guys can see it too. 18-bit should be good enough. You should be able to see that. Okay, so then what we're going to do, hopefully we got our download done. It's almost done. I'll cut to the end here and we'll continue after this is done. Okay, now that that download is complete, and it opened it for us because I forgot to choose just save. Let's eject that for now because I want to show you how it works. Okay, so let's close this out. We don't need that anymore. We'll leave this up because we're going to use Chrome in a little bit for something else. So let's just hide that. I'll choose Command H is hide on the Mac. So we got our checksum here. Make that a little bit smaller. And the checksum, oh, you guys, I was putting it, I was on top of it, wasn't I? Anyway, that's the checksum. So how do we do the checksum? Well, what we need to use is what's called the terminal. Now, I have it down here on the dock. If you don't, you can do a search for terminal on the Spotlight search here, or you can just take any window and we'll create a new window. Command N creates a new window, and go Utilities, and it's in the Utilities folder here, and there it is right there, terminal.app. So let's double click that. Did I double click it or did I miss it? I think I missed it. Yep, I missed it. Let's try it. There we go. Should open right away. It's a pretty small program. Now, we're going to make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it. So Command plus is what makes this bigger so that you can see it. By the way, mine is black and green, and the reason it's black and green is because I chose that theme. If you want to mess around in the menus, you can change the theme here and do whatever theme that you want. So what we have to do is we have to use this command down here, checksum-a 256, and then we'll put in the file. So let's go Command copy. Oops, I did that wrong. I did a paste. Z, Command Z. Let's Command copy, and then let's do a Command V up here to paste it in there. And then just hit the right arrow key and then a space, or I suppose you could just hit the space. And we need to type in the path to the file. Or we can take the shortcut. By the way, this gives the checksum, or what is it? Something hash algorithm. And it's -A is the type of hash algorithm that you're using. The algorithm is 256 for this one. And how did I know that? Did I close the Windows thing? I didn't. It tells you actually on the Windows which hash algorithm that they are going to use. SHA-256. So that it actually tells you on that thing what hash algorithm to use. That's why we used checksum-a 256. Okay, so anyway, the shortcut to doing this, you just drag the file over there and it does the path for you. Hit the right arrow, whoops, go back to here, go back to there, hit the right arrow key, and then hit enter. Now this can take a while. This is like a 5 GB file or something like that. So this hash takes a while to do. So we'll skip ahead here. All right, that didn't take too long. It took about a minute on my computer. It might take longer, depends how fast your computer is. So anyway, we're going to select this checksum that came up with that. It goes all the way to there, and we're going to copy again, Command C. That'll copy it, and then we're going to paste it into our document here. Now it looks a little different because it's using smaller lowercase letters. Just go to Edit and Transformations, make uppercase in Text Edit here, and there we go. By the way, Text Edit is available on all Mac computers. That's why I'm using Text Edit for this. But you can see that every single letter and number matches there, which means we have verified that we have the correct Windows, Microsoft supplied Windows 10 installer files. So we are good to go with that. All right, let me shrink this up a little bit so that we're not taking up the entire space, and we will close this. We don't need it anymore, and we don't need to save it because we already verified it. Okay, so there we go. Oh, I got my old downloads up. You can see I did it before, but we're going to show you how to download the other one, the bootloader. So all you have to do is go down here and copy, and this will be in the description, remember. So you copy that, and let's paste it into our browser. We're using Google Chrome today. You can use whatever browser you want. By the way, that download went really fast, about 2.5 to 3 minutes. If you have a different, if you have a slower internet, it's going to take a lot longer. Seriously, almost 6 GB, it's going to take a long time. Now, I did it about 2 or 3 minutes now. Honestly, if I do it late in the evening or afternoon, it takes like 10, 11, 12 minutes. It's even failed just because it just can't get enough. For whatever, my internet service provider apparently gets really busy at that time or something like that. In the morning here, it works fine. So you might try it at a different time of day if you can't download the Windows ISO. Try it, late at night, try it during the morning, try it in the afternoon. Sometimes it'll work at one time and not the other. So try it at different times. Okay, so here is the file. This is the UEFI NTFS bootloader image, and we got the download link right here. We click the download, and this one should happen almost instantly. Can harm your computer. I keep it. No, it's not going to harm my computer because I know how to use it. So anyway, we're going to quit Google Chrome. And you can see I do have the UEFI NTFS bootloader image there as well. So how are we going to create the flash drive? First of all, we're going to take the flash drive and I'm going to put it in the computer. Now that I have the flash drive in the computer here, we're going to reformat it so that it works with as a Windows 10 installer. This will destroy everything on your flash drive. Make sure it's at least an 8 GB flash drive. and make sure you get all files off of there that you want, because they're gonna be gone after you do this. All right, so we're gonna use this flash drive, and you can reformat it in the terminal, and we're gonna do that because I want to show you how to make it work even if you have a flash drive that's not cooperating with the Mac operating system, where it's kind of funky and not working. This will work every time, at least from what I know. So what we're going to do first is we're going to reformat it, but first of all we have to find it. We have to find which disk it is, and you use this command down here, disk-util list, and you can type it in like that and hit enter, and it shows you all the disks that the Mac operating system is reading at the moment. Now, you can just copy and paste. In fact, we're going to copy and paste this command here, because what we're going to do is we're going to reformat it in the MBR with FAT32. And yeah, I said we weren't going to use that, but this is the best way to completely erase a disk like this. Okay, I need to change something, so I'm going to hit the right arrow key, and then I'm going to backspace over this N down here. So this step might not be necessary. If your drive is misbehaving though, definitely do this step. And just for assurance, it doesn't take all that long. You probably want to do this step just in case. Now, this is dev disk. Oh, what does this mean? Disk utility, erase the disk, put in a FAT32 file system, call it untitled, and use an MBR format for it. This will erase everything on the disk and make it a FAT32 disk. But we got to get the right disk. If you do this on something that you want to save, it's going to obliterate it. So make sure you get the right disk. So in our case, we got that Samsung 32 gigabyte USB. It's right here, and you can see it. The size says 32 gigabyte too. And this is, if you look over here, dev disk 3. So you can see right here, dev disk, and then there's a 3. So we'll click back over here and we'll type a 3. So that will complete the command. Now I hit enter, and this won't take a whole lot of time on this particular flash drive because it's in really good shape. It might take a while to do this if you have a flash drive that's kind of funky or has different things on it. If it can't do this, it's probably the flash drive isn't usable for this purpose. You might have a flash drive that's bad, but it should be able to do this. Okay, so now that we erase it, let's do a disk util list again. And now we got a DOS FAT32 file system on there for everything, but we don't want that. We want this for a UEFI boot, so we're going to make it a GPT partition. So we're going to copy this other command down here. You can type the command in if you'd like. So hit the right arrow key again so you can see it better. Disk util erase disk. We're going to put an exFAT operating system so that we can use files more than 4 gigabytes, because sometimes Microsoft includes those. We're going to call it Win10 install. I think you're limited to 8 characters here. And I think it's got to be all caps, so that's why I named it that way. GPT format, because we're booting a UEFI system, GPT is much better. And dev disk 3, again, we're going to do the same disk that we did before. We've got to make sure we got the right disk, the 32 gigabyte flash drive, because remember, this is going to erase everything again and make a GPT partition out of it. So hit enter, and we should be good to go. All right, so now we got our Win10 INS thing there. So we're going to hide the terminal just in case we need it again. I don't think we need it again. I can't remember if we need it again. We might. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, double click on the Win10 thing, and I have it showing like this. We're going to also double click on the Windows 10 ISO disk here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to copy everything. Now, is this everything? Gosh, you got to be careful on this. Sometimes manufacturers or installer makers will hide things like way down here somewhere or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to View and choose Show Toolbar. Then I'm going to change it to this one, the column view, and that will show everything. So I make sure then I can select everything and drag it over here for a find or copy into the other thing. Now this will take a while. I have quite a fast flash drive. This 32 gigabyte flash drive is pretty fast, so it's only going to take about 2 minutes, but honestly it might take a while for you. I'm going to leave and come back even with the 2-minute thing. Oh, now it says 4 minutes, so I'll be back. All right, now that this is finishing up, it should be just a couple of more seconds and we'll be done with the copy. Did it finish? 5 seconds? There we go. Okay, all finished. So let's close this out and let's eject this so that we don't get confused. That was our Windows 10 ISO. Now, what we need to do is take the stuff from the UEFI NTFS image here and put it into the EFI partition. You notice on my locations here, the EFI partition is not showing. We're going to make that show with the terminal. This is the command down here, the last command on there from the terminal. So let's go to the terminal. And you know, if it's a mess like this, sometimes you just want to type clear and then that clears it out. The other kind of shortcut here is you can use the up and down arrow keys to cycle through the commands that you've used previously. You can see there's our erase, you know, there's another erase that we had, but we want disk util list, so that one, and then just hit enter. So I just use the up and down arrow keys to cycle through the previous commands. Now that I have the list, I have the EFI partition here, and you notice we have to do, it's not dev disk 3, it's not the whole disk, it's just this partition that says EFI on the third disk, the one that is our flash drive. It's important that you select the EFI partition on the correct drive. Again, you don't want to mess with the EFI partition on any of the other drives. So I've got the EFI partition here, and it's disk 3S1. So what you do is you can copy this command if you want, and choose Command C to copy that. And then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to choose Command V to paste it. Again, I'll hit the right arrow key so it's unhighlighted. Now, instead of NSM, we have to put 3S1 because that is the partition with our EFI on it. So disk 3S1. And then we hit enter. And this one, you have to put in your password. That's what the super user do, is sudo, is super user do. You need to put in your password. And then it will mount the disk for you. So I'm going to put in my password and hit enter. And it mounted the disk for me. Okay, so let's hide the terminal and let's go back to, oh yes, we got our EFI partition here. We'll just put it up a little bit higher so that it's a little, it looks more like it goes with that. Double click the UEFI NTFS image and there it is. Let's double click it. Okay, again, I am going to go and view and do it, show toolbar, so that I can choose the column view, because then I know I got everything, so there's not stuff hidden way down on the bottom somewhere. Even if you scroll, anyway, do this so that you make sure you got everything on the list. Okay, click the EFI partition. That's the only EFI partition we have showing, and that's important because you've got to get the right EFI partition. And just copy all this stuff to the EFI partition. So just copy this, and you can copy the README, which isn't very interesting in this particular case, but it is there. Okay, so what we're going to do next, we're going to take the boot and we're going to make it so that it only boots 64-bit. We are going to select that and choose Command and select that, and then we're going to move to trash. Okay, so we got that. And then we're going to go in, let's go back here. Okay, so that's in the EFI. We're going to also do the same thing on the Rufus thing. I don't think it'll even look at this Rufus thing, but we're going to take out anything that isn't 64, anything that does not have a 64 in it. This is optional. You probably can do it without this, but I want to make sure that it's not going to boot with these other operating systems. By the way, ARM is an ARM processor. 32 is the 32-bit processors. If you need that, you leave this stuff in there. But you should be doing 64. So there we go. We got all the 64 ones we need. And notice there's the exFAT one there. So it is going to use that. So anyway, we are all done with that. That is completed. So let's close this out. Let's eject this thing here. And then you eject this. It doesn't matter which one you choose here. You can choose either one. Just choose eject. And then it will ask, do you want to eject everything, because it's more than one volume on this thing. So you just click eject all, and then it ejects the disk. Okay, I'm going to show you just one BIOS today. Like I said, and we're going to show you how to get to the installer. I did more of this on the Rufus UEFI one down in the description. I also put it up in the cards. If you click the little eye up there, it'll show, and you can do the Rufus, go to the Rufus video if you want to see more UEFI or BIOSes, so that you know how to set your BIOS up. I did 3 different ones on that. We're just going to do one on this one, but the other 2 are on the other version, and that should give you enough to set your BIOS up so that you can do the install correctly. But let's go to that BIOS on this little computer that I have, and we will get to the installer so that you can see that you would be able to install with this flash drive that we just created. I'll be right back. All right, I'm booted into the BIOS. Power key, hold down the delete key. Now it might be a different key on your computer. You might have to hold down F1 or F9 or F10 or something like that. It varies by computer, but delete key works on a surprisingly large number of computers. Virtually all modern computers, it's just the delete key and it works. Now, you notice this BIOS, we have the simplified or easy mode, they call it. I can use the mouse to navigate and click advanced mode, or I'm going to just press F6. So if I press F6, that gets me to the advanced mode, which is what we want. Now we're going to do two things. We're going to disable the secure boot, and we're going to make sure it can boot in UEFI mode. So what you do on the BIOS, the right and left arrow keys will select the different menus. The arrow keys will select up and down from there. If you hit enter, it goes into there, and you can select whatever you want. If you hit escape, it goes back out. So to go a level down, you hit enter. To go a level up, you hit escape. And that's generally true on all of these BIOSes. Okay, so let's go there. You know what? Let's move myself down a little bit here. I wanted you guys to see the little hints there with the boot, but now that, yeah, move myself down a little bit, you can see a little bit more of the thing there. Okay, so let's go over, and we're going to make sure it can boot in UEFI mode. This BIOS boots in UEFI mode always, okay, because it's a more modern BIOS. You might have something that's chosen here in the boot menu that says UEFI only, or UEFI and Legacy, or Legacy only, and you can select those options. This one, it does it a little differently. It calls it the Compatibility Support Module, and if you click that, then we got the Compatibility Support Module. It is disabled. If I enable it, you can see that we got the Legacy boot for the various different options. So if you need that, you can enable it. This computer boots UEFI always, but it does this other stuff with these other things. You say, oh, we got UEFI only. Yeah, but we don't even want the Compatibility Support Module because we don't want Legacy anything. So we're just going to disable the whole thing and just disable it like that. Okay, then you have to disable the secure boot. Now in this one, I really like this BIOS. The secure boot is right here. It's right under security where it should be. A lot of BIOSes, what you have to do is go into the advanced features, go into the operating system, and choose the operating system to enable the Windows 8.1 or Windows 10 features, and then you can choose secure boot to enable or disable. You might want to search around on your BIOS. Again, look at that Rufus one, you know, up in the little thing, click the little eye up there, and go watch a Rufus video. I actually do that on some of the other videos. But here, if we put enter, we can just enable or disable secure boot. I like to leave it disabled. Now, if you need it enabled for some particular reason, some software, some security feature that you need, you can re-enable it after the install. So disable it. It has to be disabled or this installer won't work. But once you do the install, if you need this feature, you go into the BIOS again or UEFI again and re-enable the secure boot. So depending on what software you need. Now we have to save our changes. So what we do is we go over to the exit, and this is true on almost all BIOSes. You do some kind of exit and save changes and exit. I'll hit enter and then click yes to save the configuration. And that will save the configuration. Now this actually has a Windows operating system on it, this computer. So what I'm doing is I'm actually holding down the delete key so that we get back to the BIOS because I want to start up from scratch. I want to start off from a power off condition to boot the flash drive. Okay, so once it's in the BIOS, I can just hit the power key to shut it off, and it just shuts off immediately. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the USB flash key that we created into the computer. All right, now that that's into a port on the computer, I'm going to hold down the F11 key to get to the boot menu. You might have seen that if you were quick when we booted up into the BIOS. It showed that F11 is the boot menu. your computer can vary. This is all over the map, F9, F1, F2. I mean, boot menu varies a lot. So do some research on your computer or your motherboard to see which key will boot to the boot menu on your computer. But I'm going to hold down the F11 and I'm going to start, and you're going to see that we do successfully get to the Windows 10 installer. Now I'm not actually going to install it. I'm going to just get to the installer. You can watch the Rufus video. I went through the whole install there. Now we got these things. I have no idea what those are. If somebody knows what those characters mean, it'd be really cool. You can put it down in the comments. So we got the flash drive here, and this will boot, but if you did the install wrong, it won't boot right if you didn't have the bootloader and stuff. But anyway, we're going to hit enter, and you're going to see after a little bit of messing about here, we're going to get to the Windows 10 installer. It shows these little scratchy lines up on top, and I'm not sure why it does that. But anyway, the little twirly balls there, and we got to the Windows 10 installer. So there you go. That's how you create a USB flash drive to install Windows 10 on the Mac in 2020. This should work every time if you do the procedure the way I showed you on a modern computer that can boot UEFI and 64-bit. Now, please like and subscribe. I like to make these videos. They are a lot of work, but please like and subscribe. Share this on social media with other people. Post it on the forums and stuff like that when people are looking for this. It would really help me out. And please come back and watch some more videos. I got some more videos here that you can watch so you can be successful on your home tech adventure.